What is going on, guys? This is Gainz Gaming. Today we are talking about my best killers in KVK. KVK is officially over. We did unfortunately lose this KVK in the 3v4 matchup. Kingsland obviously did not last very long. So let's talk about what commanders did best for me in KVK that helped me gain almost 1 billion kill points for the entire KVK. So I used 11 different commanders in KVK to achieve all of my kills. Now in KVK, these were my stats. As you can see, I finished with 15,366,000 T4 kills and 41,481,000 T5 kills with 983 million kill points gained and about 1.8 million dead troops gained. Now I finished at rank 19 in my kingdom in 1079, so I'm pretty happy with that contribution. You can see I got the rank Killer Whale as well, which is kind of funny, with a 323% of my total goal for the KVK. You can see the score was 30 million for the requirement, and I gained 96,926,000 points for our kingdom contribution. Now with those kills, like I said, I used 11 different commanders in KVK to achieve those kills, and I like to document how many kills each commander got throughout KVK, as well as the different pairings I used that gave me the best amount of kills. Now let's start with number 11, who had the least amount of kills in KVK, and that is surprisingly William. Now William was actually a top 5 commander for me last KVK, which is why this is kind of surprising. But William finished with a total of 2,286,122 kills throughout KVK. And I think the main reason why is because we do have artifacts in this KVK. And the reason why that's important is because when we are able to use artifacts, I actually benched William and I used YSG instead, which will come into play when we talk about the different pairings I used in KVK and the amount of kills that those pairings had. So when we had the artifacts, which was during Kingsland, I actually benched William and I used YSG with Cav stats instead. And so that way I was using zhuge and YSG, because when you have YSG in the museum, you get an additional 20% Cav defense and 5% skill damage. So I was using that in Kingsland instead of William. And so all of William's kills only came from the Zone 5 fight, which isn't too bad considering that was a pretty short fight, literally just one day, and gained about 2.3 million kills from that. The number 10 commander on my list is Boudica Prime. Now, Boudica, kind of similar situation where when we had the artifact, then she was being used, but when we did not have the artifact, I actually was not using Boudica. So I only used Boudica in Kingsland, and Boudica finished with 2,214,758 kills. So like I said, she was only used in Kingsland because when we did not have the artifact, I was using Zhuge and YSG, so Boudica was benched during that time. And I've talked many times about how I regret my decision to invest into Boudica because I just don't think that she is that great of a commander anymore. I think her time is kind of over in Rise of Kingdoms unless you are an archer main. I don't recommend people invest into her anymore just because she is so squishy. Like, yeah, she has some utility, but there are much better commanders I would rather invest it into, such as Herman Prime. I would much rather have over Boudica Prime. The number 9 commander on my list is Guan Yu. Guan Yu, you don't use for killing. I've already said this many times, but Guan Yu finished with 3,663,628 kills, putting me at a total of about 25 million kills throughout using him. And I've used him ever since I unlocked him. And, you know, he is still a decent commander. Would I recommend people invest in him? Not necessarily, but his silence is his biggest utility. Not really using him for the kills, but using him to silence your enemies. Number 8 is actually very shocking to me, and that is Scipio Prime. Scipio used as a secondary behind Guan, which, like I said, like Guan, you're not using for getting kills, but Scipio you are. You are using Scipio to get kills, and he surprisingly fell pretty short of what I expected, with 4,071,392 kills throughout KVK, putting him nearly at 30 million total kills. And last KVK, I believe he was well over 5 million kills, so he did underperform compared to our last KVK. Coming in at number 7 is Zhuge. Now, Zhuge actually did much better this KVK than last KVK, putting him at 4,367,260 kills, nearly at 15 million total kills with Zhuge. And, you know, obviously putting him primary has its pros and cons. The biggest pro, the reason why I use him primary is because I want his active skill to go off right away, because that way you guarantee you're going to get AoE, versus if you're using Boudica Prime as your primary, then you might not even get your Zhuge skill to fire off, So that's why I use Zhuge primary, and I used him with YSG for most of KVK, and that is actually our number 6 commander, YSG. He finished KVK with 4,636,635 kills, putting him over 40 million total kills, which is awesome. I've been using him since KVK 2, so he's been used a lot for me. And, you know, obviously the barbarian kills is pretty crazy as well. Although I've seen people over 10 billion barbarian kills, so that makes me feel like I don't use him enough. But coming in with our top 5 list, this one might shock you a little bit too. And number 5 is actually Alexander Nevsky. Now, Nevsky finished KVK with over 5 million kills, with 5,385,231 kills, putting him at 44.75 million total kills, which is crazy. And, you know, honestly, he finishes with over 5 million kills per KVK, so you can't really be disappointed in his performance. But it is kind of shocking seeing him so low on this list. This is the lowest he's ever been on my list ever since I started using him in Season of Conquest. Coming in at number 4 is Zhuge Bing. Zhuge Bing is such an amazing commander, and honestly, I think he is the second best cav commander in the game behind Joan Prime. Now, he finished KVK with 5,924,993 kills, putting him at a total of 12.9 million total kills in just 2 KVKs, so I'm very happy with that performance. Now we come into our top 3 list. Now, I'm going to tell you guys the top 3 commanders, and I want you to guess which one is number 1, which one is number 2, and which one is number 3 before we reveal them. The 3 commanders that we still have available are Joan of Arc, Alexander the Great, and Zhuge. Now, take a second here and guess in your head which one do you think is number 3. And we'll see if you're right. Number 3 is Joan Prime, and that might shock a lot of you, but Joan Prime finished with number 3 with 6,350,450 kills, which is not too shabby if I don't say so myself. That is insane, having over 6 million kills from one commander. Now, like I said, that's kind of shocking. It shocked me when I actually calculated the total amount of kills for each commander. I thought for sure she would be in the top 2 like she usually is. Usually she is number 2 or number 1 in my kills, but she fell short. She fell into the number 3 position this KVK. Now, like I said, the remaining 2 that we have are Zhuge and Alexander the Great. And number 2, if you want to take a second and guess, number 2 is Alexander the Great. I'm sure you guys probably guessed that one. But Alexander the Great, not too far behind Zhuge actually, with 8 million, yes, 8,792,054 kills, putting him at a whopping 57.9 million total kills. Absolutely insanity from Alexander the Great. And now, coming on number 1, like I said, not too far ahead of Alexander the Great, obviously we got Zhuge. Best commander in the game by far, and it is not even close. Zhuge with 9,087,276 kills. Just 2 KVKs, he is almost at 16 million kills. Almost my first commander achieving over 10 million kills in a KVK. I'm hoping our next KVK, he will be able to hit 10 million total kills, because that would be absolutely insane to see. And now, obviously, I'm not surprised that Zhuge is number 1. However, I am surprised that Alex is number 2. Even though I did expect him to do very, very well, the instant procs that he has provided has been the reason why he is number 2. Because, you know, when you're using Zhuge Alex in the field, honestly, in my opinion, the second best infantry march in the game behind Scipio Zhuge, like I kind of imagine how many more kills Zhuge would have if I was using him with Scipio primary. Like if I was running 1 infantry march, that would just be absolutely bonkers to see. Now, before we go into the top pairings by kills, I want to look at our gear and show you guys exactly what we had for gear on each of these commanders, so you can see exactly what I was using during KVK. Now, we will start off with Zhuge Liang. This is what I was using on Zhuge. So we have the 4-piece Dragon Breath set and the 2-piece Garb of the Glorious set for the leadership gear. This is giving 8% health, an additional 6% health, plus an additional 3% troop defense. Personally, I really like this. I think having extra health is really, really nice. Following up here, we have Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, you can see I actually have a 3-tier ring on my Joan of Arc with the crit, which is kind of crazy when you think about that. So, you know, I'm now to the point where I'm upgrading equipment and upgrading the different accessories that I have. So that has kind of a crazy point of my game that I'm at, because in my opinion, Awakening is better than Refining. But we have the 4-piece Hellish Wasteland set, along with the Navarre's Control and with the Ash the Dawn. Number 3 here, we have Luce with a 3-tier crit horn. So, upgrading the horn and the ring is kind of crazy for me. We are able to buy one of each more. So we could have a tier 5 by next KVK, which is kind of insane to think about. I probably won't do that because I don't think that's really worth it. Because I really don't need the 4th tier at this point. But this is my 3rd set of gear for Luce. Next here we have Zhuge Bing. This is my 2nd cav set. We do have the Mora's Web on here as well, along with another Ring of Doom on crit, unfortunately. And then my last set of gear is on my Guan Yu. We have the War Drums because Guan is usually alive the longest on the field besides, Zhuge Bing. But having the War Drums on here and staying in the field longer is really nice. I am still waiting on getting some more iconic crystals to add on to some of these pieces, but we did upgrade Guan Yu. He was the last commander I had with purple gear, so we upgraded him. Unfortunately, did not get the crits, but still a pretty good set of equipment here. These are my 5 sets, so just keep that in mind as we talk about the different pairings that we used. So before we jump into pairings, like I said before, we did have artifacts in this KVK, so there are going to be 7 different pairings that I used during KVK, and not everything was used simultaneously. So I have the total amount of kills, but I just wanted to bring that up. That YSG, using him with an artifact, kind of threw off some of the stats for some of these pairings, but for the most part, they are fairly accurate. So let's start with number 7, the 7th best pairing that we had in KVK, and that is going to be Zhuge and Boudica Prime. They finished with a combined 7,082,018 kills in KVK, but like I said, I did only use Boudica when we were in Kingsland when I was using YSG with Zhuge Bing for the artifact. This was just used during the Kingsland fight, so obviously a little bit thrown off there with the accuracy. Number 6 here, we have Guan and Scipio. Guan Scipio, this was used throughout the entire KVK, so this is 100% accurate. So Guan Yu and Scipio finished with 7,735,020 total kills throughout the entire KVK, which is fairly disappointing in my opinion. Number 5, we have Hugh and William. This one was used for the entirety of KVK besides Kingsland. So like I said, a little bit thrown off because William was not really used a whole lot during KVK, simply because he was only used during the first zone fight. But they finished with 8,211,115 total kills. Number 4 is going to be Zhuge once again and YSG. So once again, this was used during the Zone 5 fight, not during Kingsland, where the most of our fighting took place, but using this finished with a total of 9,003,895 total kills. But once again, YSG was also used with Zhuge Bing, which brings us to our number 3 pairing, Zhuge Bing and YSG, finishing with a total of 10,561,628 total kills. Going on to our top 2 pairings. Number 2, this was used throughout the entire KVK, and this was Joan Prime and Alexander Nevsky. Now, a lot of people in my live streams were asking, why are you using Joan Prime primary and not Nevsky primary? Like, what's the point of that? And the reason why, I was actually informed of this by King Eps in my kingdom, and the reason why is because in the support talent tree, you are able to reduce the amount of skill damage you're taking substantially, as well as in the cav tree, you are able to also reduce skill damage taken. Now, in the open field, this is extremely important because you are always taking skill damage. When you are taking AoE in the open field, you are taking skill damage. So reducing the skill damage you're taking in the open field is very, very important for longevity and just staying in the field longer. And, trading better as well. So taking less AoE damage in a murder ball from people that you aren't even attacking has a ton of utility. So that is why I use Joan primary. I think it traded much better in this KVK than I have before using Nevsky Joan. So I would encourage you guys to try out Joan with Nevsky because I do feel like it does work better in a 5v5 or a murder ball situation. But if you are dueling, Nevsky primary is obviously going to outperform Joan primary. But they finished with a total of 11,735,681 total kills. And finally, our number 1 pairing obviously is Luce Alex. Now, Luce Alex, this is not even close. They absolutely blew the competition out of the water. They finished with a combined total of 17,879,330 total kills. Now, if this does not tell you that you need to be using Luce, if you are not already, I don't know what will convince you to. because this is by far the best march of my entire KVK. And it is not even close. Literally had more kills than Scipio and Guan combined did. That is bonkers to think about. Now, the fact that Luce himself had more kills than all these pairs, zhuge YSG, Hukabing and William, Guan Scipio, and zhuge boudica. That should not happen. That is insane. Now, one thing I am excited for our next KVK is to see what the next cavalry commanders look like. I am currently at 1,345 gold heads right now. So I have plenty of gold heads to max the next cav commander and have plenty of leftover heads. Now, one thing I've been debating with the new calves coming out is if they are not upgradable from like what I currently have, like if I am very happy with Hukabing William and, Joan and Nevsky, and I don't really want to upgrade, say William, because I feel like that's going to be the commander you're going to upgrade from is William. Say I'm happy with my 5551 William, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to wait for the next infantry, for example, to replace Guan. Then I could easily just go ahead and max Herman Prime for our next KVK, which I am more than happy doing that. And so honestly, like if I'm able to do that and, be content with my calves and upgrade Herman instead, I'm going to be a very, very happy person because I think that will be substantial improvement from where my troops currently are. Let me know what you guys think about these commanders and what surprised you, if anything surprised you in this list. Thanks for checking out the video. Have a great rest of your day.